The big transfer that didn't happen but could still be made is Mo Salah moving to Saudi Arabia. Liverpool rejected a £150 million offer for their forward from the Saudi Pro League side Al Ittihad. The bid for the 31-year-old forward was far in excess of 100 million. Add-ons taking it, as we're saying, to about 150 million. There's suggestions that they could go to 200 million, but if that's not enough, well, as we were talking about in the papers, it could well be seen as a bottomless pit, so they could go even higher. The Saudi transfer window doesn't close, I should say, until Thursday. Joining us now, it's our Middle East football reporter, Ben Jacobs. Ben, good morning. How are you?
Hi, Ben.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, very well, and great to have you with us. All the deals now are done here in England and Scotland with the Premier League and everything. But there are still perhaps some worrying times for Liverpool and Liverpool fans with the Mo Salah situation. From what you know, are you expecting Al Ittihad to continue their pursuit of him?
I am, unfortunately, for Liverpool fans. Of course, Liverpool's stance is not for sale. If that doesn't change, then this is all noise. And we should point out that there might be an optics element to all of this because we're talking about it, and that's good for the Saudi Pro League. But the first offer, as you say, was only verbal. It was £150 million, 100 million guaranteed, 50 million in add-ons. And a second offer is likely in some form. Now, Liverpool may bat it away. When the Saudi dealmakers spoke to Mike Gordon at Liverpool, it was made clear to them that no offer is going to be entertained. But I suppose Fulham said the same about Alexander Mitrovic, and now he's at Al Hilal. So I don't see the Saudi dealmakers giving up because it's been obvious that Liverpool were not going to be able to find a replacement in the final days of the window. And as a consequence of that, with the Saudi window still open until September the 7th, I think that Al Ittihad feel that they can still try again in some capacity. And it will ultimately all just depend on Mo Salah. If there becomes a point where Mo Salah decides to push for the move and Liverpool, as a result of that, feel that the money is just too good to turn down, then maybe, just maybe, we'll see another shock during this window. But ultimately, if Liverpool stick to what they've said all window, which is a crystal clear position of not for sale, then Liverpool fans can be calm.
Ben, this is never going to be a deal that is ever going to be, fall apart over £10 million. That's how it feels from the outside. Now, would you have any idea what it's actually going to take to get that over the line? Is it going to be sort of north of 150, like 160, 170?
Well, it's not money, it's structure, actually. And I think that's what makes the numbers so misleading, because when you hear these astronomical figures, you think, how on earth could Liverpool turn that down for someone that's 31 years of age, especially if the player wants to move? But 100 plus 50 means nothing if, for example, the 50 isn't gettable. And putting it up to 200 means nothing if the extra 50 that you're adding, should it be add-ons again, is not gettable. So one of the reasons why the Saudi dealmakers can go as high as they like is obviously because there's a bottomless pit of money. There's 17 billion from the Ministry of Sport allocated for the Saudi Pro League between now and 2030. But there's also a few anomalies in this package. For example, the Club World Cup, and some of the terms, to my knowledge, in the overall package are, for example, if Al Ittihad win the Club World Cup, Liverpool get X, which is very unlikely. And as a result, if you want to put something insane into the package, like £35 million if Al Ittihad win the Club World Cup, then of course the package seems huge, but Liverpool would look at that and say it's pretty unlikely. So success would, I think, come down to Liverpool actually being able to get 150 million, and that might mean the whole package is 175 million or 200 million in order to get there, and then Liverpool would have a decision to make. But because we don't see the structure, I think the headlines are grabbed towards 200 million, 300 million and so on, and everyone thinks, wow. But Liverpool have to be sure, were they to accept, that they're actually going to get the vast majority of that money.
And do you think the impression is that Salah wants to go?
I think Salah's open to a move, but that's because when Salah was approached, it was for 2024. And the Saudi project is of appeal to Salah, yes, financially, but because his brand as well can benefit very heavily from making that move in the latter part of his career. But Salah doesn't see this as the latter part of his career, maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years. So 2024 is a target for the Saudis and Salah, where they feel high confidence they could make it happen. And the reason why we saw a late window move is because of that Club World Cup. And Salah, I think, is focused on Liverpool, but making sure that he doesn't just turn away any kind of offer, because he might need to come back to the table with the Saudis in a year's time. And that, I think, is why we've seen a silence as far as Salah's concerned, although we should point out that his agent said on August the 7th that he's committed to Liverpool, and that was obviously only 3 weeks ago.
Ben, I'm asking you to have a crystal ball here and just think of, say, next summer. Do you expect the Saudis to be even more aggressive? And, obviously, I mentioned earlier, Kevin De Bruyne could be a target next summer. Will they go after big clubs players with even more aggression than they've shown this summer?
Yeah, I think so. One thing that makes this window a bit unique is that quotas were being filled. So the Saudi Pro League has foreign quotas. And once you've hit 8, then you're very restricted in terms of how you can move in the market. And because there were not 8 top elite foreign names in these clubs, it's allowed for a very bullish recruitment strategy. But if everything goes according to plan, for example, in January and next summer, you would still expect Benzema, Neymar, Kante, Ronaldo, and so on to all be there. And if the clubs are happy with their squads, we may see less signings, and then slowly you would phase out some of the older names and go again. So I think we're going to see waves of recruitment. But in terms of names, even if the volume is less, I think the quality will be younger and also potentially even higher. And that's no disrespect to some of the names that either are passing their peak, or even if they're still very strong in their 30s. But I think that next summer there will be a drive towards that mid-20s player to see who they can get. And the other thing as well in all of this is just that it isn't a case of taking a swing in the dark or dumping a load of money down for big names. The recruitment strategy has been already put in place, as you would expect. Like any football club, they're planning windows ahead. So 2024 won't be waking up once the window opens and deciding who might be available. It's already being started now. And that's what you have to do, develop the relationships on the player side, which is why Salah's been approached all summer, because then when you come calling, you've got a better chance of success. So De Bruyne is a possibility. Son is a possibility. Salah will be a possibility again if he doesn't join in the next few days or so. And no doubt there'll be a few other surprise names that are younger. Gabri Veiga was one of them at the back end of this window that might be pursued. So this is a very considered strategy that feels like it's all about money, feels like it's all about statement, and feels very fast moving. And it will slow down in the next 2 windows. But I think that the Saudi Pro League feels like it's here to stay, and European leagues are going to have to find a way of coming to terms with that.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.